learn by other people's mistakes. So for your organization, I would highly look at developing a social media plan. I use here as an example the City of Seattle. If you want a really good starting point, go to their site and see their social media policy, what they've done. It's really extensive. They even have separate pages just on Twitter. So what they're going to do with Twitter, who's going to tweet, how they're going to tweet, when they're going to tweet, naming conventions, use of logos, this kind of thing. Maybe repercussions to staff. What's going to happen if a staff member screws up? So, I mean, there's that much detail, and this site is a perfect resource. I know I've got a friend of mine from Colorado, and he used to be the GIS manager at a city there. And he was probably one of the first people that I know. They brought awareness of this to me. He was instrumental in creating a social media policy for his city, just because he was active. They saw that, they identified that he was kind of one of the early adopters, and so he created the whole social media policy for the city. So the Geo folks can be quite an important resource as far as that comes. I'm mentioning Twitter a lot, but naturally there's a lot more than just Twitter when you're thinking about your social media policy. These are just a few of the resources. I tried to find some local examples. Facebook is one to consider. Myself, I don't really see it as really highly useful as maybe Twitter, but it serves a different purpose. And Facebook you can't deny using Facebook simply because of the sheer volume. I mean, Facebook gets like on days it's been known for them to have 500 million logins. It's incredible. And in Canada, I don't know the exact stats, but Canada has very high per capita usage of Facebook. So it's a resource that you have to consider, at the very least, for getting your news out. But there's a lot more you can do. Something I'm messing around with on my own corporate Facebook page is they have a nice Ustream plugin. So if I had my video camera streaming and it was Wi-Fi enabled right now, I could be live streaming this presentation via Ustream, and I have a plug-in set up on my Facebook. It's that easy. It took me 10 seconds to plug in. So these are really good tools that you can use, maybe to save money. You know, you might not have the resources or the infrastructure in place to dream up a cool way that you can live stream material, but that's one solution and a great way of saving some cash. If you're creating video, and I love video because you can tell so much in 2 or 3 minutes. You got to use YouTube. YouTube is great for SEO, so people will find it. Great search engine optimization. If you create a video of anything, you could create a video of your map. Maybe it sounds kind of weird, but just by gluing together screenshots, maybe a little narration as well, and put some cool music in the background, and people will watch it. This is a video. It's not from the City of Vancouver's official YouTube channel, but someone just did a kind of a cool video to promote the City of Vancouver. And look at the number of hits on it. I mean, 1.7 million hits. So that's your city could create a 2-minute video, and look at the traction. It's quite astounding, really. And there's more things that you can look at. I heard mention of Foursquare earlier. I'm a pretty big Foursquare user. Not so much for the gaming, but there's a lot of other useful tools for it. I think Foursquare, it's important to see here the Ministry of Health building. Foursquare has a database of POIs where I'm not sure exactly where the starting point was, but I think it's important for not only like a brick and mortar business, but even a local government building or any place that exists really, to take ownership of that data. What that means is you can actually log into Foursquare, and if you happen to be an IT person for Ministry of Health, you can take ownership of that data. And that means you have total control over what's being displayed to people. And you can even offer visitors. So if I check into the Ministry of Health, I might get an immediate message that's been set up by you. Maybe it's an important link to the latest update, or maybe it's some kind of offer. The sky's the limit. considerations too. I thought this was interesting. I think that was from, is that Google? Yeah, Google Plus, which is a new social resource. One of my Google accounts, so Google, all the Google services are tied to your account. This is one of my Google accounts. It's called Cindy and One Media, which is just a company name of mine. But see how it says profile suspended. So Google did not allow, it requires an actual person's name. So I had to be like Glenn Letham in order to get a Google Plus account. So these are considerations that you got to consider. Flickr is another fabulous resource. I highly suggest if a local government's jumping into social media, I think you got to use Flickr. People on social streams, they like short bits of info, and they really love photos. They love sharing it, and it really does tell a big story. I grabbed a little snippet from the City of Prince George website. Thought it was kind of cool that they're sharing not only Flickr and YouTube, but they've got a couple other icons there that are interesting. You might notice the Apple sign. So they've got podcasts that are available from their website. It's kind of innovative. Maybe it's a good way to distribute minutes from a public meeting or something. So the authoritative source. So you guys as if you're creating a Twitter account, let's say for example, and you're a representative of a city, you are the authoritative source. And that's important. A lot of power and influence comes from that, because right then and there, you're a credible resource, and people are going to believe you. And what's probably more significant than that is that people are going to share what you say. So we get back to the social media policy. You've really got to be careful what kind of information you put out, because once it's there, that's it. I've seen retractions on Twitter and that. Sorry, it just doesn't work. You can't retract something. You can go back and you can delete a tweet, but you know what? It really hasn't been deleted. The damage is done. So, but there's on the upside, there's a lot of good can come from that, because when you're when visitors see that you're an official rep of a city or local government, then the local visionaries, maybe the influencers, the social media mavens, whatever you want to call them, people are going to retweet for you. And if they aren't, all you have to do is ask them. And that's the cool thing about social media is if you just ask, people will respond. So you can exert a lot of influence by having an official account. Using a couple of examples here. So when you set up your account, you're going to take into account, okay, is it an actual official Twitter account? You see here the City of Prince George, that's how they're branding themselves. It's pretty obvious to people that that's an official account. I've got Jason up there as an example. Jason Birch from the City of Nanaimo. He's a very popular GeoGeek on Twitter. And is he in here somehow? Okay, Jason. Sorry, I didn't ask you about putting your picture up on the on there. Yeah. But I think it's kind of interesting. So on now you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'll see here. Sure, Jason tweets about what's going on in the City of Nanaimo, but it's not his account. That's his account. That's not an official City of Nanaimo account, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And I think that's obvious by the way that it's branded, by Jason's name on there, and he doesn't actually say that he works for the City of Nanaimo, doesn't point to his website. So you can expect, therefore, that those are his thoughts.
That's actually driven by our social media policy. If my account is directly tied as an employee, if it's an explicit reference, then you can tell that I'm working for the City of Nanaimo, and I say something, then I'm liable through my employment contract for what I say.
Okay, good. And I think that's a huge issue too, really, because and again, I'm speculating too, but maybe I'm sure Jason's probably had discussions with the City of Nanaimo, and you guys would have to have discussions with your folks too. How people are going to use Twitter, and when are they going to be able to use Twitter during business hours? Are they tweeting personal info during business hours? These are all important considerations. I grabbed Carlos here. Carlos is kind of interesting too, because here I was kind of torn. He's a GIS professional, but again, he doesn't state where he works, so it's kind of an unofficial That's a personal account, but he does mention on here that he's a member of ERISA. He's actually very involved with ERISA, and so he makes that clear in his bio. So I think it's really important that you kind of set the ground rules on, in your descriptions and whatnot, so that people know what to expect. But get that policy in place. What kind of things are you going to tweet about? Updates from events. Like I said, events and Twitter are fabulous. People, a lot of people are watching the MISA BC stream right now, and it really carries a lot of weight. People love it. People love getting event information. Asking for tech support. So if you're an Esri customer, Twitter can be very valuable to you. If you're having a problem and you mention that out there, chances are really good that you're going to hear from an Esri tech, someone to help you, or you'll hear from another user. So use the proper buzzwords. And there's a lot of companies that are out there that are very active on Twitter. Safe Software, for example. The local companies, Clover Point, the GeoCortex folks from here in town, all the big time software vendors. They're all watching and listening. So it's almost a great way to get free tech support. Let's see what else is popular and be applicable. Supporting open government. So obviously, if your city has made an effort that you're an official tweeter and you're managing some of the other social properties, that is an implied movement towards open government. And so it's a great way of hyping that too. And anything that you say that kind of maybe lends to that will be very popular. Again, it's one of them hot topics and buzzwords that people grab a hold of and will be glad to share. Who are you going to follow as a GeoGeek on Twitter? Well, to start out, so you want to build again, I'm talking about an official Twitter account. I would suggest a number of these. Other departments within your organization. So hopefully, if your city's jumping in, you're not just going to have the GIS department on there, but maybe Public Works might have a Twitter account, HR, engineering, goes on and on. Police are active on Twitter in many cities. So you want a friend and communicate amongst yourself with those departments, because can be some real good synergies. The local social mavens, again, those people can really help you to get your word out if you have some important information. By important, I mean, real time sensitive. In a time of emergency or something, this could be really crucial. Other GeoGeeks that can help you. I put a shameless plug up there. That's me. Tech support accounts are also great to follow, like I said. The geo-influencers and such, those people will help to spread your word. Again, it's all about sharing. So when you roll out that new web map service, don't just sit on it. Once you're ready for the public to see it, share that information and get people talking about it, because you work really hard